My name is Natasha. I'm currently animation mentor. I teach in the game side program. I've been working in the games industry since 2019. I've worked on games such as Life is Strange True Colors, Life is Strange Remaster, Madden 23 and 24, Clockwork Revolution, and 6 Days in Fallujah. Today I'm here to talk to you all about how we would go about animating characters in the wind. Um, so I don't think this is something students commonly attempt. I didn't see a whole lot of student work on it. So if you're up for the challenge, animating a character in the wind could be a lot of fun, but it can also be challenging because we have this invisible force pushing against us, and we have to animate towards that. We have to show that it's kind of like when you're animating a heavy object and you're trying to show the weight, but now we have this invisible force pushing against a character. We want to show that push that the character's fighting while they are in the wind. I have a picture here of a girl and she's holding an umbrella. One of the most stereotypical things we think about of a character in the wind is someone holding an umbrella and the umbrella getting pushed backwards like this and us holding it in the wind and getting dragged from an umbrella. That could be also a fun animation to do. But as you can see, even in her pose here, she is off balance because the wind here is pushing her this way. So she can be off balance because has this invisible force pushing her. And it's just a different way to think and typically we can't really see wind. We can't see wind unless there's something in it like snow or dust. Wind is invisible and air is invisible. So it's basically like the force, like from Star Wars, invisible force pushing us, and how we would go about animating this in our shot. So one exercise you could do to start animating something in the wind is the paper exercise, where you can, and this is from a Disney short called Paper Man, and you could animate a piece of paper just flying in the wind. Right here we have a piece of paper, and it's even got some character, this paper. It hits him, he looks at it, and then it flies off and she chases it. And it's such a simple thing, but it adds a lot to the story. So as an exercise to start animating things with the wind, and I remember doing this a long time as a student, is you can start with a piece of paper. We can see the overlap. It interacts with the forest, that it stops here. We can see it flapping before it goes off and starts flying again. And it's nice how you can see the twists and turns of this piece of paper. And as simple as it looks, this could be a challenge to animate and a fun little exercise to start off with animating something in the wind. And you could even give this piece of paper personality and character as it's floating in the wind and being pushed as it overlaps. Then once you go past the paper challenge, we could do some characters. So here we have Elsa and Han here, and they're both in this snowstorm. And here we can see in her posing here, as I have a draw of her, she is covering herself from the snow. She's covering her face so she can see in this wind. And in this case, we can see the wind because it's so full of snow. And as she looks around in the snowstorm, her eyes are squinted. They're not fully opened because there's this invisible force like hitting your eyes, and it would be hard to look completely open. As you know, if you're walking in the wind, you're going to squint, and also to avoid dust and particles getting in your eyes. Part of the acting, plus the blocking of the wind here with her arms. And then here she gets pushed by the wind. And as my arrow shows here, she's getting pushed from the wind this way. She closes her eyes too because it's such a strong force pushing her. But we can feel that invisible force pushing her right there before she sees Han and turns around. So Han here as Hans is walking through the snow, he's also blocking his face because of the snow and the wind, but also feels like he is walking through an invisible force, that there's something pushing on him and he can't just walk normally. There is something pushing against him, like if you're swimming through water and you're pushing through water with your hands, he's pushing through wind, and it doesn't feel like he's just walking normally. It feels like he has some sort of resistance pushing against him. And we need to feel that if we were to do a walk in the wind as well, that invisible force pushing us like this. And that we can't just walk, even just blocking, we can't just walk normally. We have something pushing against us that we are pushing back at, two forces, and we need to be able to feel that in the animation. One fun thing that we have with Avatar is airbending, which is a creative way to show animation with wind, where you're creating wind here and he's using wind to help him out. Here we have him doing push-ups, and then he starts using his airbending to push himself up. And we of course draw the wind because we want to be able to see it, even though typically you couldn't see it. But it's a fun creative way to use wind in animation, because we can add magic in there, because airbending is kind of like wind magic, and he's using that airbending to push him up, which is a fun way we can add to the animation. More examples. Here is Aang using his airbending to push everyone. You can really feel that force, the invisible force of him pushing everyone with the wind here. As everyone flies off, they're being pushed. Another example of him pushing people with wind and them reacting. And it's also unique here because since he's doing the airbending, he's not reacting to the massive amount of wind. His clothes are reacting, but he's not reacting to all the wind around him, because he is doing the airbending, and the other guy's reacting to it, trying to keep himself from flying, which he doesn't succeed at doing by the invisible force. But Aang uses his magic and pushes him, or airbending and pushes him. But these are all fun creative ways that we can use wind in our animation, besides just realistic stuff, because it's animation and we can be creative and put magic in there, even if in real life you can't do stuff like this. So let's get started planning our own animation shot with the wind. Here I have a file of people in wind, and when you're animating something in the wind, you could do something comical, like this kid here is dancing. Quality's a little poor, but he's dancing and then this rug flies over him. So that's kind of a fun comedic way of you could animate wind for a shot. We also have this little girl here, and she opens the door right here and she flies off. That's a fun creative way you could also animate with the wind. But then there's a lot of good examples, and this one's pretty poor quality. Let's go to a better one of people walking in the wind, and we can really feel this force. You can feel the wind pushing them this way. As they're walking in this wind, it really feels like they're walking against some invisible force. When you're looking at all their bodies, all these girls' bodies, they're all off balance. If there was no wind, they couldn't do this. All the wind's pushing them this way, and they're leaning forward, trying to use all of their momentum, all of their strength to push past this invisible force pushing them of wind. And it's very unique in the way we stand while we're pushing against this force, because we're off balance. All these characters are off balance. If the wind wasn't there, they would fall over. And we have to think about that. And also, they're not walking as fast. We can't walk as fast in the wind, especially wind this strong. It's pushing them so hard that they have to push through it. And just to get that feeling, you have to study the video reference. And that the wind even pushes her back there. But the one in the brown coat. It pushes her back because it's so strong. Second, she'll do it. There we go. She's super off balance, as you can see. Her body's all the way leaning over. And then she gets pushed back from this strong force. Really, if you wanted to do a force type of shot, you could use wind as your video reference. This guy too, as we watch this guy walk, his knees are bent funny. He's off balance again. He looks different. He's pushing against the force of wind. He's pushing against the wind the whole time. For my shot here, I'm going to use this as a video reference right here. This guy, he even flies for a second. The wind's so strong. Hold on one second. Windy bikes here. He even flies for a second right there and then get pushed over from the wind. But I'm going to do this shot right here, where he's walking the wind, and it's so strong, he's really pushing against that wind. He's off balance the whole time before he finally walks through the wind. But it's a struggle. So I'm going to use this video reference to create a shot. So now I'm going to pull up Maya, and I have it right here. So here we have Stuart walking through the wind, and the video reference in the background. He's off balance the whole time, and he's walking very different. It feels like he's being pushed from this force. I even added some hair. As you can see from here, I'm trying to mimic this body shape from the video reference. I squinted his eyes because his eyes wouldn't be fully open, like I said before with Elsa. I have his hair moving as well, just for a nice extra touch. And I even added some foot foot twists. So if you look at the video reference carefully, and I know it's small here, right here you can see that his left foot, or his right, but my left foot in the screen is twisting a bit because he's trying to get like a good grip with his foot in the snow, and the wind is pushing so hard. And then he's also trying to get a good position to walk with the other foot, so he actually moves it backwards, and then he almost falls over. And honestly, even though he's off balance, the wind's probably keeping him from falling over completely because it's so strong. And then he moves his foot again, so we can start trying to walk through this as he gets into the right position here. Start walking and pushing through that wind. If you notice too, his knees are pretty much bent the whole time. They don't really ever get straight. He's basically walking like a crouch. He's like crouch walking through the wind because he's having a hard time standing up all the way because it's so strong. He's using all his force to push through it. Now, because wind is an invisible force and we can't really see it, one fun thing we could do to a shot like this after animating it is we could add some things flying through the wind just for effect. Because we get that he's walking through the wind, but we could add more to it so that way the viewer knows right away that it's windy. So let's add some objects flying through the wind. Let's create a sphere. Let's go to frame 1. We'll create the sphere, the camera. Let's have it out of the camera. Start it here. Then this wind's flying pretty fast, so let's try making it fly this way. See how fast that is. Oop, keep going to get it out of screen. It's pretty fast, but I think that's how fast it would be going. So, also, for motion blur effects, let's get some motion blur. Okay. Oh, it's actually still in screen. So let's get that out of screen. Then let's add multiples of this. So let's go ahead and duplicate it. Duplicate. Okay, so it didn't duplicate the animation, of course. And let's have it fly out. Now it's just the same. So let's grab this, bring it over here. Let's also make it not go in the exact same direction as that guy. So we got 2. I feel like it'd be nice if we had a bunch. So let's add some more. Start it here. Fly through here. Also have this one stretch again. Make sure it gets out of the camera. Oh, my bad. Let's start here. Let's have some particles. Flying at camera. Start it here. Go this way. Oh, that's like the opposite way. Nope, that doesn't work. Okay. Because the wind is flying this way. So perspective, can't start it there. Let's go this way. Make sure so that way they're all flying in the general direction that the wind is blowing. But I kind of want one to fly in front of camera like this. It's bigger. Kind of almost hits him though. Then we can even have it disappear. Let's watch it. So now let's just grab all these particles, all these polygons. Kind of remind me of particles. Let's duplicate all of them. Didn't duplicate for some reason. Duplicate all of them. Okay. Now let's grab the animation. Let's grab the animation. Copy it. Let's put it onto this one. Let's move it down here. Let's go each one of these. Copy. Paste. Let's grab this one. And lastly, this one. Let's see what that looks like now. Now we've got all these nice things flying by, which really help add to the idea of the wind and like just being able to see it there. To add even more to it, I would keep adding some more and probably add colors, but I think it adds a nice effect to have things blowing in the wind, so you have another secondary animation, which is a principle of animation, and I think it really adds to the shot, to the idea of this character walking through the wind. If you want to learn more about walking in the wind or animating characters in the wind, definitely I feel like this kind of exercise would probably be best in Advanced Body Mechanics Class 3, plus all the acting courses. You could do something like this. Class 4 Intro to Acting, Advanced Acting, Class 5. If you're ready for the challenge of animating some characters in the wind and getting that force to feel proper. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks!